Home is where the heart is. Heaven knows I didn't get enough. And I'm afraid of darkness. So life is better when you light me up. And I'm ashamed of all of my mistakes. For heaven's sakes, I've been swinging from the rafters. And I don't know if I got what it takes. For heaven's sakes, throw me out with all them bastards. Small disasters got me headed.
All right, you ready to start?
Let's start.
You want to start now?
No.
Welcome to the deck. Thank you guys. Thank you for all our Patreon supporters. Let's list them all out. Miss Molly. All done. What do you?
Carolyn, Bill, Diane.
We got a lot
Lori,
of
Mark,
Luke, Zach, Jake. We got them all. What are you doing?
I am helping prepare dinner. I am snipping off the ends of artichokes because I found a recipe for grilled artichokes that sounded pretty awesome.
We're gonna grill them.
Gonna grill them. We're gonna parboil them, and then cut them in half. And then there's a lemon garlic butter that you baste it.
Oh my goodness!
And then stick them on the grill for a little bit, and they should be tasty.
That sounds amazing. We're doing that. I had no idea. I'm very, very happy
that with a little pork loin.
Yum.
This is not a cooking show.
Yeah. Well, you know more about the grill than I do. I enjoy the barbecue a whole bunch, very, very much. I have a gas grill here. I know the purists use charcoal, and the more I use charcoal, the happier I am with the outcomes. But tonight we are using the gas grill.
One of my favorite things.
I love it. I got this gas grill. It was cheap. It was in the dent and scratch or whatever section. So 5 burner, and it was normally like $400 or $500. It was $100, and I've had it for about 2 or 3 years now. I love it.
And it must be heavy duty because it stays outside all the time without a cover. And,
I don't cover it. Yeah.
And this can be harsh land for an outdoor barbecue.
37,000 feet. Is that right? 37.
Exactly. That's me slicing off the top.
I think it's 3,700 feet above.
No, that's true because my place.
Airplane.
We're in Twainhart, and my place is a little higher up than yours, and I'm 3945.
Oh, so you're about 200 or 300 feet higher than us.
Yeah,
I had no idea. So you guys have? Is it like when it's hot, it's hotter at your house, and when it's cold, it's
we're
colder
closer to the sun. That's how it works, right?
That's right. I forgot how the universe worked.
That's how it works.
You're really close to the sun.
We might get a little more solid snow in the winter than yours. But anyway, we haven't even introduced ourselves.
My name is Matthew Rose, and I'm a guy who lives in Twainhart.
And my name is Dave Babb, and I'm a guy that lives in Twainhart.
And that's pretty much the premise of the show. Welcome to the deck. We sit out on the deck every week, and we chitter-chat, and I think we should probably cook something every time, but I don't want to make rules.
Matt, why don't you tell everybody what Twainhart's like? What makes Twainhart so special?
I had no idea. I'd never heard of Twainhart before I really moved here. I grew up in San Jose, California. I met my wifey Pooh in Yosemite, California. We moved from Yosemite to Watsonville, got married in Santa Cruz, and it came time to raise children, and we wanted something that was kind of like Yosemite. We also didn't want to be too far from the grandparents, my parents and my kids' grandparents. So we actually got a map and put a push pin in it, and we drew circles that were no more than 4 hours away from the grandparents. And Molly and I went to every town we could possibly go to for about a year, looking for a cool place that sort of reminded us of Yosemite and wasn't too far from the grandparents. And we have friends who have a cabin in Twainhart, and they said, why don't you stay at Twainhart for a little while? We hadn't heard of it. And we came up here, and it's amazing. It's right at the snow level, the snow line, usually each year. If you really sort of average it out over time. So 3,700 feet above sea level. Tall trees. You've got tall cedars, tall pines. You've got ponderosa pines, sugar pines, dogwood trees. A lot of tall ferns everywhere. It's really pretty. Exposed granite. And we found a little log cabin And Molly and I looked at each other and said, "Do you want to raise our kids here?" And over time, we decided to buy this little cabin and raise our kids in a little tiny cabin far away from everybody, out in the woods where they could collect frogs and turtles and go fishing and have sort of a throwback Norman Rockwell style life. We attend a little church here, a wonderful little church, and we each have jobs. Molly's a teacher, and I'm a graphic designer for a local hospital, and we never looked back. I love it here. How would you define Twain Harte?
Well, Twain Harte is definitely the forest. We're in the Stanislaus. Actually, we're just as you're getting into the Stanislaus National Forest. We're east of Sonora on Highway 108. I don't know if you know California well, but it's a much less traveled highway up over the Sierras than like an 80 or Highway 50.
Yes.
In fact, they close it down during the winter due to snow. The peak there, it's over 9,000 feet at the peak. It's very much a touristy town. Officially, there's, 2,500 people.
Right.
That's what the sign says. But there's lots of rental cabins and second homes up here. So we have people we call part-timers, live here part-time. Our friend Rob Scott was just here. He's in a cabin across the way. He's what you consider a part-timer. But people come and visit. There's touristy things to do, but it's very much a throwback. There's a couple of lakes to go to. Mm-hmm. There's a miniature golf course that, look at it. It's no Golfland USA. No, but there's like guys do
homemade
well.
little hula girls and homemade grandfather clock, and it's really cool.
They make some money. Some people from our church used to own it, and when they told me what they made a year, it kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
Being open 3 months a year. Anyway, so this time of year, it's summer, it's July, so we get lots of people who come and visit, stay in the cabins, and it's, you know who they are. I don't know how to say
behave.
They're on vacation.
Differently, right. And it's endearing in a way because they'll walk side by side down the center of the street because it's the country. And they don't realize it's a town that has cars and streets and laws and stuff. But it's sort of endearing because they want that sort of what was that? Was it Andy?
Mayberry.
Yeah, it's like a Mayberry.
It's very much Mayberry.
Yeah, I like that. And so I've been here about 10 years now, and man, I just love it.
Yes, Matt's been here 10 years. I've been here 7 years. Fiona, come and hang out with us.
I just need to melt some butter for cookies.
Okay, the microwave's not plugged in, so you need to unplug the radio probably and plug in the microwave.
It's a rule living in the forest. All microwaves are out on the deck and not in the kitchen.
Outside microwave. So Fiona's melting butter for dinner, and she needs to unplug the Bluetooth radio so to get the microwave going. Is it going to work? You got it going.
Look at that.
Did you plug the microwave into the radio?
Yeah.
I like that.
Matt shared his origin story. My origin story is I also grew up in the San Jose area, kind of where Campbell and Saratoga and San Jose all come together. Lived there till I was 23-ish, 24-ish, when I moved to Tuolumne, which is just down the hill here. And I worked at a camp called Silver Spur for 2.5 years, and a Christian camp, making sure people had a great time when they came up to get away from the city. But I realized that I missed working with youth. I had been a youth pastor at the church I grew up in Los Altos, and I took a job in the Sacramento area, Folsom specifically, working at a church, and I worked at three different churches. One merged, but in the Folsom area, El Dorado Hills area, I worked as a pastor for about 18 years. And then that job ended. I can go into the story later, nothing bad or anything, but I also have a degree in graphic design. That's what I went through college to get. Having graphic design is hardly what it was in 1988, 89 when we were seniors in college. There was no such thing as a web page, yet and there was definitely nothing like SEO and all and social media. Yet that's what I do now as a 50-year-old man. I take care of that stuff. So I've been here. I actually lived here at Shangri-La, which is the name of this estate here, a match estate in beautiful Twain Harte. But now I live in a little cabin just across town on a little irrigation ditch, which sounds gross, but it's actually quite nice. There's a nice little walking trail, and it's in the forest, man. It's a tiny little house, and sometimes I work from home. Sometimes it feels more like I sleep in my office and I work from home, but you get a walk outside and you're in the forest, and it's pretty amazing. So I live on the top of a hill that can be tricky when it's snowy, but
Is it one way? Is it a one-way road up there?
When I'm on it, it is. The road is about a car and a half width wide, I would say. I'm used to it, but again, this time of year when we have that area is mostly rental homes, and people don't realize that they need to share the road and pull over to the side. And
it's sort of a cul-de-sac, so it's not a throughway. So there's not any through traffic going on.
No, there's not through traffic. There's a lot of this time of year. Like the tourist season starts Memorial Weekend.
Yeah.
And Memorial Weekend, I go from not seeing another car other than my neighbors for months to several a day. It's just on that weekend, boom, it starts.
Does that get lonely? That's like half a year in a cabin?
It can be. But I keep real busy at church, and you try to do things to not go crazy. The thing is fighting not becoming a hermit. It's like, this ain't too bad. Maybe just hanging out by myself forever
the comfort
is a good thing.
Comfort of hermetism.
There's things that make it easy. There's times that I get a little tired of tourists, and because like we mentioned, everyone's on vacation, and it's a little bit. I think it was last year. Was it last year? I was in town, and I saw these guys driving around town in a pickup, and they had all their kids and stuff in the pickup bed.
Right? They think that's Mayberry throwback. Like, you can do that
Mayberry,
now.
we're on vacation. We're in the woods. And I saw them drive down the street, the main street that gets me out of my little area. I'm like, those guys, they just... And then 20 minutes later, I came back from the store, and the sheriff had pulled them over in front of a restaurant here, and as I didn't want to gloat, but as I drove by, I had the window rolled down, and I heard the policeman say, "You're still in California, sir." So
the laws apply.
So it's humorous, nothing too bad. I think they have a saying here in Twain Harte: we love to see the people come and enjoy themselves, but by the end of the summer, we're ready for them to go home.
It's nice to have it back.
It's nice to have it back.
We love tourists, and we love to have.
We have a dog parade in April.
See, and that defines, I think, Twain Harte really, really well. We shut down Main Street, Twain Harte, for a dog parade, and everybody brings their dog out, and you can walk them down the street, and you get to write a little bit about your dog, and so then the parade announcer will say whatever it is that you've written. So, of course, I put Gordon, and my dog Gordon, in the parade. And since I knew they would say whatever it is, I just made him a circus dog. He's retired. He could run inside the motorcycle cage with the motorcyclists. You know those that sphere. Yeah. And he would run counterclockwise to the motorcycle. And they read all of that to the town. And so people thought Gordon was a retired circus dog. So that was
it's very much a little town. The only chain store, anything, there is a 7-Eleven in town. And that's about it
that's it, and that's run by a local guy.
Oh my goodness! So here's what we're barbecuing.
Bring a special guest
this
for your
looks
podcast.
Amazing. What is that? What kind of bug is that? Is it a Maybug?
It's bigger than a Maybug.
That's a little. Is that a ladybug?
That's a cockroach.
I don't think it's a cockroach.
Bigger than a cockroach.
He's got teeth.
That's like isn't that like a Madagascar hissing?
It looks like a hissing cockroach, but I think it's not.
It's not. It's
cuter. It's even cuter than a Madagascar.
Where did you find it?
Right outside.
Look at the teeth. Look how it's trying to bite.
What was it in those?
No, Dad, it bites. It bites.
Does it?
It bit my stick earlier when I poked it.
Oh, look! It wants to bite my finger.
Don't let it bite your finger.
Look how wide the mandibles go. It could really get you.
Yes, Dad. God.
That's crazy.
Was it in that bunch of bananas that you bought from the store?
That's from arachnophobia. The lid doesn't fit on the thing. All right, we'll set him aside.
The last words of any venomous snake handler. The lid doesn't fit.
And he's gone. I'll put that there. That thing is huge. So that was the thing, too. We came from Watsonville, where there were very few insects in the air. I think it's because it's primarily an agricultural town, and they sort of take care of their insects. And so when I came up here, I have a work-from-home office with a ceiling fan. And the biggest bug I'd ever seen came flying in, and it hit the ceiling fan and slowed the ceiling fan down. And then it bounced off the ceiling fan to the window, and then it slid down the glass. And it just stank up the whole office, whatever its corpse smell is. And then it looked like sort of an evil dragonfly with a prehensile tail. And I thought we'd made a horrible mistake in moving up here.
Well, I often house it here, and I hang out on the deck in the summer till all hours. And there are bugs here that you don't see anywhere else.
It's a strange.
They don't want much from you.
It's like they don't bug you. I mean, I guess that's what they do, but they don't attack. We've set up an outdoor movie theater on our deck. We've got a projector and a screen, and so we'll watch movies outside on the deck. And the screen will attract the biggest bugs you've ever seen. It'll land in your movie. We try and ignore that. And then there's one about 9:30 every night. Molly and I will be out on the deck and sitting there enjoying ourselves. And there's a bug above the light. We can't ever see it, but we can hear it. And it sounds like a helicopter from Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And it flies overhead, heading north to south at 9:30. It has an agenda. It has a schedule. I don't know what bug that is, but it's terrifying. It's very loud.
Yeah, there's some big ones. When I lived here up in the bunkhouse up there, I'd have the ceiling fan going and the door open at night, working away, doing whatever. And then I'd hear a sound that was a lot like batting practice, hitting a ball with the bat, and a bug would have flown in and hit that fan, and there would be a crack. So it's different. If you don't like bugs, the inside of the cabin is very nice.
It's nice in there.
But
now, when you lived I'm curious, because after you moved out of the bunkhouse, moved into your own cabin, I know you live near what's called a ditch, but it's a beautiful little creek that has fish in it and everything.
Yeah, it's irrigation. It's not irrigation. What's the word? It's for water. It's for drinking. It's the utility district owns it.
Water canal thing.
Yeah,
right.
it's.
Did you feed, when you were in the bunkhouse, did you feed the deer at all?
I did. If I had some leftovers, some veggies that were getting too old, or I had something to... It was more of a novelty at first, but it got... Although they won't let you get close enough to pet them, they will stand outside and wait for you to feed them, and it can kind of startle you when you look outside. Oh, there's one like there. Hey, are you coming out?
When you moved out of the bunkhouse, I moved in there. I used it as my work-from-home office, and I wasn't aware that you had been feeding the deer. Mm-hmm. And I was there eating my lunch, and I had carrots and a doe, front hooves. She came up the stone steps and brought her front hooves to the threshold of the door and scared the poop out of me. I turned around and there was a doe-eyed beast, right, and I gave her carrots and she ate them out of my hand, and she went along her way. But I was like, you must know that there's food in here. So, sweet deer.
Well, they never bugged. I mean, they never came to me and asked me. But I think there's a reason. It's the same reason why, like when I go to fish hatchery, and I'm looking at the fish, and I cast a shadow over the fish while they scatter, and that's because I have more of an outline of a large bear than you do, and so I think that can be intimidating.
I think I'm more ferret shaped, so they come right up and they're
not afraid of you.
No, not even a little.
But anyway, that's our origin stories. That's how we.
That's how we got to Twainhart.
There may be a lot of references to comic books and movies because that's something that we both enjoy.
That's the language we speak.
That's the language we speak.
I don't even remember the first time I met you. I knew your sister and your brother before I knew you. Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, I went down to visit my sister, and well, the reason that we've stayed in touch all these years is because my sister is married to your brother.
Yes.
But we met when I went down with another friend of ours, Bryce. Andrew was my best buddy from high school.
Hopefully
and
we'll have him on the show. Yeah, he's
love to have
amazing.
him on the show sometime. And you got to know him at Biola.
Yeah.
And I went down with him to visit him and my brother and my sister at Biola. I did not go to Biola. And I stayed up north. And you were a suite mate of my brother's. and that's SUITE, not SWEET.
I mean, I like him. He's a good guy.
That's
but
what they call engaged couples in Europe.
the sweet mate.
A sweet mate. But anyway, I clearly remember going to my brother's. We walked into one of the other rooms at my brother's suite, and I saw what appeared to be a waiter taking an order from somebody. And I thought, that's strange. They have waiters taking orders in dorm rooms at Biola.
It's a nice school.
But it was Matt who had, I think, just came home from working at Coco's.
Yeah.
And he was just talking to somebody, but he looked like a waiter taking an order.
Still have my waiter costume on.
And that was, I don't know, 87, 88.
It must have been 87, probably.
Something like that.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
It was my brother and sister's freshman year, and that was 87, 88.
87, 88. And I loved working at Coco's. I really did. It was the first, I worked at several places. I worked at Jack in the Box, I think, when I was 16. I worked as a sign painter when I was 14. Worked as a janitor when I was 11. But waiter at Coco's was my first, grown-up job where I, show up and clock in and do important things. And it was a brown polyester suit, brown polyester pants, a checkered polyester vest. Pretty sweet. Wish I still had that. A brown polyester clip-on bow tie. And a white shirt, white short sleeve shirt. That was my my waiter outfit. So it looked pretty sharp. You thought, man, waiters are.
They have waiters here at the fancy schmancy college.
Yeah.
You know, say about Biola, it's the. I don't know. It's the UCLA of Christian colleges.
It is. That's what they call it.
I don't know.
They have that trademark.
I don't know. That was 30 years ago. Things have certainly changed. I've never had a job working at a restaurant.
You haven't?
No. Something you may not, unless you know me, you won't know without, just looking at the podcast. At my height, at the height of my height, before all the cartilage in different areas went away, I was a little over 6'9", and they just assumed you're going to eat all the profits when you're that big of a guy, and so
Can't hire you, yeah.
I never did. Did a lot of janitorial, and I worked at that may be something for another day. All the places we've worked.
All right, we'll save that.
We'll save that for another day.
That's a good one. So we met then, and my so I knew Danny first. Knew your brother Danny first.
Well, I knew him first, but go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
But you were welcome to him.
I knew him.
I love my brother.
I knew him before I knew you.
Yes.
You knew him before you knew me.
Yes.
It's a weird tangled web we weave. And then we were, and I think that was at Stewart Hall when you saw me as a waiter. And then we were roommates. Danny and I were Alpha Chi, something I don't know what the name of that, Sigma Chi. It was it was like a Quonset hut. That dorm was like one of those big military corrugated steel bunkers. That was one of our rooms. And that was before my brother met your sister. And Danny and I were literally talking down the hallway, and Lori, Danny's sister, came in to talk about something, and Mark, my brother, came in to talk about something. And they saw each other, and you know how in cartoons where their eyes turn all heart-shaped?
Yes.
That literally happened. They got heart-shaped eyeballs, and then they walked away, and Danny and I were like, what just happened? And then Lori called Danny and said, who was that? And Mark called me and said, who was that? And that's how it started.
Yep.
It was beautiful.
It's all your fault.
Sorry about that. Sorry about
No.
I'm sorry about everything. I end every day actually saying sorry about that, and then I go to sleep.
It's 30 years later, and they're still married. 3 beautiful boys
Incredible kids.
that'll get older and older while I stay the same age.
They'll catch up to you eventually. We'll all be 50 together. That'll be nice.
Yes.
That's how that happened. It was
That's
crazy.
how
And
we
then,
know each other.
Yeah.
And then we've known each other throughout the years. I can think of the one time when I was up here in the early 90s working at the camp. My brother came up to visit, and we decided, he came up from L.A., and we decided to drive to Yosemite. And we said, hey, let's spend some money at that fancy Ahwahnee hotel place. And I said, I think Matt Rose works at the Ahwahnee.
I was still a waiter.
And I remember we sat down. I ordered the Monte Cristo.
Delicious.
And I forget what Danny ordered. And
Probably a crab sandwich.
and you were there. You came walking by us. I remember you stared at us. What?
The heck?
What? Have you ever ran into someone and not expecting to run into them?
Yeah. Especially at work.
And we were like, hey, Matt, because we knew you were there. It can blow your mind up. It's like you forget the person's name. I forget the person's name in that situation. If
Yeah.
it's someone I wasn't expecting out of the blue, I forget their name.
Did I forget your name? Is that what happened?
I remember you just looking really surprised, like,
You don't belong here.
what? Who's hot? And then
I still feel like where people belong exactly where I met them. So if I meet somebody as a grocer, then they're always a grocer.
Exactly.
They don't deserve to be outside of the
I don't remember your name outside of the grocery store.
and I will not talk to you. Yeah. So I've been a waiter at a lot of different places. The Ahwahnee was fantastic. I was a waiter and bus person at the Ahwahnee Hotel, which is a gorgeous, who's that? Frank Lloyd Wright, I think, designed that.
I think so.
People always think that was the hotel in The Shining, but it wasn't.
No.
And there was the Bracebridge dinners, which is a Christmas dinner. It's a celebration. It's a performance art. There's a stage, and there's a bounty of food up on the stage, and there's professional actors up there. And then people sign up for the Bracebridge dinners years in advance, and they have to win a lottery to get it. And then the waiters, the wait staff at the Ahwahnee, also need to win a lottery or be halfway good at your job or whatever to serve at the Bracebridge. And so, like my second year there, I got to work at the Bracebridge dinner. Really important, pomp and circumstance and music and all these things. And I was a waiter, and I go to the back, and I get that giant oval-shaped busboy tray, and they stack salads up in there, and it's china. It's real china with salads, and then there's a stainless steel metal cap that goes on each one, and then they fit together like Legos, and so they all snap together. But they just purchased a different size stainless steel cap for keeping on the same china. They didn't quite fit, so there's a mismatch. Anyway, I had a huge stack, and the king or whoever is performing at the front goes, and now your salads. And I dropped my whole tray on the concrete floor, and it must have been 20 salads, china and steel, like cymbals bouncing off, and the doors swung, and of course I went into a full panic attack, and somebody physically stood me up and put a new tray on my hand and stacked 20 more salads and shoved me out the door. And I had to snap a sharp left turn and snap a sharp right and get the salads out. And I wasn't invited back.
See, knowing you, I would assume, if I was at that dinner, I would assume that was part of the floor show. That was
just going to throw it all.
Dinner theater.
Throw 20 No, that's the theater of my life. That's how my life goes. So I haven't really been a waiter since then.
Well, you've moved on to bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Family of 4 and a mortgage.
2 mortgages, 2 cars, 2 kids.
It'd be hard to own a restaurant and take care of all that.
That is true. I don't want to do that.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we've given you a little bit of our origin stories and our background. My background has been mostly, I've been a pastor at different churches for, I had about almost 25 years put in. But I also worked at churches where they could only pay me part-time. Which was great because I just loved doing it. So my degree in graphic design came in handy that way, and so I would work other jobs. So I spent my 30s basically working 2 full-time jobs in the car all the time. So that's why I'm worn out now.
Spent yourself. So graphic design and church. So church, and that was your primary goal, and then graphic design sort of...
It paid the bills. It paid most of the bills so I can afford to... live in my apartment and
What's your strangest, what's the strangest thing you've designed or that you were a part of, or I don't know if strange is the right word, but thing like, oh,
strange. Well, I remember being excited. The first job that I had while working part-time at a church was for a guy at the church who had a little advertising agency, and his main client was Northern California Oldsmobile. So doing full-page newspaper ads that were...
That's cool.
In the newspaper, that's something. On the one hand, that's very, wow, look at my work. However, if you make a mistake...
Yeah, I did that.
Which I've gone on to do newspaper ads for other businesses too, and it's really important to have good communication.
Yes, it is.
And other people check your work.
Yeah.
Because a $999 refrigerator, if you don't check the proof from the Sacramento Bee carefully, can be a $99 refrigerator.
That's a good deal.
And evidently lots of people want a top-of-the-line
really?
GE refrigerator for $99.
$99. Who knew that? Did you tell GE that maybe their price point's too high?
I didn't.
I didn't do a mispricing, but I was the editorial designer for a newspaper in Santa Cruz, and I was in charge of designing the cover. And back then, it was really important to save your files in CMYK in the print press, right? Plates, as opposed to RGB, which is how things are projected, red, green, blue. And I had not saved one of my photographs for the cover in CMYK. I had kept it in RGB. And so it comes out really, really, really weird. And 40,000 of those newspapers went out with the cover wrong. And I didn't know it until I saw it on the newsstands on the way to work, walking in the door of the newspaper for which I work. Terrifyingly embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, it was terrifying. And back then when I was doing it, there was no high-speed internet. Well, you used to have to save it all to a disk. And back then, this is mid-'90s still, there was, this is nerdy graphic designer talk.
Geek stuff.
But you'd save it to what was called I had a Bernoulli
really?
hard drive, not expandable. What's the, you could pull out the disc and give it to someone. And you had to pack those things in all the bubble wrap and all the tissue paper there was, because if it was dropped even fairly, it broke. It was like a clay type material, and then your ad didn't
run.
And even though it wasn't my fault, I worked for some people that didn't care because I was the last one. So
Bernoulli cracked.
Yeah, the Bernoulli, the disc would crack. So it's
I went from SideQuest drives. That's where I started. SideQuest drives. And it was just like that. You had to pack it so that it wouldn't be destroyed. And
we
then,
had SideQuest as well. Yeah.
And then it went to zip drives, and
which was better, but you still had to be there. For me, I still had to be there and have it done for the courier from the Bee to pick up. Otherwise, I had to drive down at rush hour traffic to the Sacramento Bee in downtown Sacramento to hand it off. And
back in the day, back in the night.
But eventually, we got it set up to do through email. But there was no high-speed email, so a 2.5 meg file took 30 minutes.
Yeah, you have to call.
And then the guy at the Bee who would take it off would say, "Oh, there it is, I'll take it off." And it'd be like a quarter of the way done, and then he'd call and say, "Oh, your file's corrupt." It's like, you keep taking it off before it's up there. It was,
yeah, you need to wait.
It's much easier now. I send files 100 times bigger,
gigs worth
10 times faster. It's not even.
It's crazy.
Not even close.
And you can save your files as RGB or CMYK. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
Digital
matter.
print.
Everyone figures it out.
It all works now. Back in the day, though, it was terrifying and scary.
Yes. Unless you work with our dear friends Brad and Lynn Mary at Business First in Twain Harte. I know when I do T-shirts for local people, and it has to be saved as a version of Illustrator that is 12 years old.
Yeah,
but that's not them. It's the T-shirt people that deal with it.
Yeah, and sometimes you separate for them the do the plates for them. I've actually done that, so that like, okay, here's the vector files for each plate. But those shirts are honestly fantastic.
They are.
Yeah.
And so that was for us. No one else cares about that.
Not at all.
nerdy
That's
graphic
deck
design.
talk. That's how deck talk works.
That's how Dick Talk goes. Look, we're not all that polished. I don't think there's going to be any. But we're not. This isn't ear biscuits.
We're not getting the Webbies.
Webbies. No, it's to entertain ourselves. So we have a couple things we wrote down for this first time here. Official first time. We had a pre-run last week.
We did a pre-run. That'll be the lost episode.
We had this crazy local lady that showed up, and we interviewed her.
She went nuts.
And we'll probably have her back on very soon.
And we probably overshared on the first one, so
We probably did. So we're
get back.
boundaries. It's all about boundaries.
I didn't know. I started crying and shared everything. But no.
Exactly. So one other thing we want to cover is the stuff we like, because Matt and I are best buddies,
Yep.
but we don't have every single same taste in the world.
We do not. I think you have a better taste in music than I do. I remember one time
Better taste?
you borrowed my truck, and you're like, how did you? And my brother has much better taste in music than I do, and I have the radio station on the same station infinitely, just noise for me. So you were like, how did you and your brother get such different musical tastes? So that's...
Your brother is very much into classic rock. He's very particular.
Yeah.
He has a whole... I don't think he's ever sat in a seat at a concert for the entire concert that he paid for. He always figures out how to go. But he likes Rolling Stones. He likes
Kiss.
AC/DC. He likes Kiss. He loves
Cheap Trick.
Kiss.
Right.
Cheap Trick. He's classical. And my nephew
Aerosmith.
is the same.
Yeah, your nephew Zach, or our nephew Zach is the same way. Mark's my brother Mark's amazing in that I like things planned out to the point where we know what time we're going to arrive and where we're going to park and how much the tickets cost. And Mark is very, very good at improvising, and I need to learn more from him on that. And so we would go to a Kiss concert. And we'd get there, and I'd say, where are the tickets? He goes, oh, we don't have them yet. But let's not buy them from the scalper. And so then he told me who to avoid and how to get tickets. And we get 2 separate tickets for 2 different places. And people had more pity on me. They wouldn't give me tickets, but they'd give me anything else. So I'd wind up with like a peanut butter sandwich, maybe a flower necklace, a lei, different things like that. And Mark would have 2 tickets and get us in, and then we'd scramble our way to the front and have the best time of our lives and watch the show. And I think that's what he does with his son. They just improvise their way in, and
He's in his early 70s now, and he's still,
He is.
No, Mark, we tease Mark.
75.
I love Mark so much.
I do too, and you have to at his age. What's nice for Mark's age now is that there's no such thing as an early grave, right?
No,
It's just
it's any day now.
no.
He's we
probably
love Mark
35.
so much, and I mean that.
I've done nothing
We've done nothing manly in our lives.
at all.
So-
It amazes me. I thought I was manly when I chopped some wood, but I'm way off.
Wood.
I'm a doof.